Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. My name is Kirsten Reed. I am the Executive Director of Middle Tennessee SHRM, and I'm really excited today to have Annie and Eli here from Interaworks to have this conversation with you all. I'm excited about today's event because it's going to be a little bit different than what we typically do in our webinars. This is going to be very much of a workshop styled session. I think many of you got my email before today's event with that workshop guide that will help us guide this conversation today. So really looking forward to it. I hope you learn a lot today about yourselves, about how you can better advance your organizations. And this is going to be a great session. But before we kick off, of course, want to have a couple of Zoom reminders. So just as you all know, all this is being recorded and it will be available on our YouTube link after the event. You'll also receive an email from us with access to that recording, so you can check it out after today's event. This event has also been approved by SHRM and HRCI for continued education credits. So you will get that certificate and those credit numbers as well after this event from my team. If you have any questions throughout today's event, we have the chat open, so feel free to post questions in the chat. I will be reviewing those questions, in real time. But if you want to go off of mute, just feel free to use the raise hand functionality. I will unmute you so then you can ask your question live. And without further ado, I will hand it over to Eli to kick us off today. Eli, off to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'll start with a short story. It was my senior year in high school in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm from there. We were the Lions, and our colors were blue and white. And you could tell in the senior year, the excitement and enthusiasm was just brimming. And every fall, we had an opening assembly. And in that assembly, the senior class got to walk in hand by hand, arm in arm, down through the musty auditorium. We got to pick the song we walked into. I think it was Metallica, but I could be wrong. And you could just feel that even though our world was small, it felt really, really big. And so we had the general new teacher introductions and a few comments here and there, but every year our superintendent, Dr. Bowie, would get up and say the same thing every single year. He, after a few comments, would say that this year was going to be the best year yet. And as good Gen X teenagers, we would all groan and roll our eyes and say, yeah, you say that every single year. But that year, I thought, he might be onto something. It's really good to be with you this morning. And my name's Eli Perkins. I'm here with Annie, our co-founder. We are from a talent development firm called Interaworks. We specialize in productivity, performance, and leadership development. We work with small companies to large enterprise companies like Dell and Microsoft and Deloitte and anywhere in between in all industries. We have a grandiose mission, and that is to elevate the human experience. And while that sounds huge, that is the core that drives us. And while there's a lot of ways to increase the potential for human capacity and human potential, we're here today to share one of those experiences with you, and we're excited to do so. Annie, I'll pass it to you, and thanks everyone for joining.
You bet, Eli, and good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. I'm Annie McGee Stinson. I'm with Interaworks along with Eli, and this is going to be a really fast hour, but I encourage you to pause, take a minute for yourself here on this fall morning and participate with us, because we're not going to tell you about Best Year Yet. We're actually going to give you an experience of Best Year Yet. And in this fast hour, you're going to walk away with 3 key things. So the first thing is a clearer sense of what your personal Best Year Yet would look like. Secondly, a powerful insight that you can take away and begin to use today. And then third, a new way of seeing what's possible for yourself and for your teams. And so I'm just going to roll right in. We're going to move very quickly. And as Kirsten said, she has put into the chat, if you don't already have it, there is a PDF that we will be using. We're not going to use it right at this second. I'll give you a few minutes notice before we need to flip over to that PDF. It's a fillable PDF, so you can take notes in there. And this will be a strong little takeaway for you as well. All right. So here's a question for you, my friends. You know, Eli was talking about his experience, but and his coach saying, you know, this year is going to be our best year yet. But here's a question for you. Why don't we always have our best year yet? Why doesn't it just keep getting better and better and better? I mean, we all have such strong experience and strong capabilities. And it's not that we're not working harder, because we surely are. But what is it that keeps us from having our best year yet every single year? I'm going to suggest three things. I'm going to suggest, first of all, we don't take the time to pause and reflect. Secondly, we don't have a process that enables us to pause and reflect in a meaningful way. Third, we don't have a system to help us to stay aligned to those things that matter most. Because let's face it, even though we may start out on our best year yet, sometimes something shows up and it can throw us off track. And that's okay, but do we have a system that enables us to realign to what matters most? So those are the three things for most people that keep us from having our best year yet, year after year. And here are the results. So I know I'm preaching to the choir over here when we're talking about when we're talking about the stats, but let's just get really present with them. And I know for a fact that we're working harder, and especially in this field, you are my people, but we're working harder, but we're not seeing the results that we would expect to see. People are overworked, and you know the stats on this. This is where so many of us are today. And if we're in the field of HR, OD, all of those, because we're there to support people, we're feeling this as much as anyone else. And I'm also going to suggest, and this is what really, you know, has caught my attention over the last several years, is that these stats keep going the wrong direction. We keep getting, you know, higher and higher degrees of disengagement, higher and higher degrees of stress, higher and higher degrees of anxiety. And yet people are spending less time than ever on what matters to them. Did you know that only about half of our time is being spent on the objectives that matter most to us? And engagement, well, let's not even talk about engagement. It's really frightening. And as I said, it just keeps going in the wrong direction. So we're not seeing any improvement over here, despite the fact that we have more knowledge, more skills, more capabilities, more tools, and more insight into this. So we really just have to pause for a minute and ask, what the heck? The stress, 6.5 out of 10, and burnout, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so as I said, I know I'm preaching to the choir over there on this, but just to get present. These aren't just numbers. This is our day-to-day experience. This is us running at full speed, meetings, email, performance reviews, fire drills. Take a breath. Meetings, email, performance reviews, fire drills, meetings, performance reviews, email, fire drills. So ever wonder why? Ever wonder why do I feel like I'm not getting the real results that I know that I'm capable of, that I know that I'm capable of producing, that I know I am capable of making a big difference. And yet we're not getting those results. And it's not because we're not capable. It's because, I believe, because we're not clear. We're not clear. And in today's noise and distractions, clarity is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. We have to get clear. So without clarity, our energy gets diffused. Our attention gets distracted. And at the end of the day, our attention and energy and our intention, so intention, attention, and energy are all that we have. And we need to get seriously focused, like laser focused amid all of the noise and distraction. Now, that's what's possible. That's what's possible. And this isn't just a concept. This is already in action. Let me give you a few examples. We've been doing this work for more than 30 years. I personally have done this plan for more than 25 years. So here's one example. And Eli, did you have a comment or a question? I just noticed that you unmuted there.
Oh, no, I think keep rolling. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So one example would be a sales team who was really struggling and at the bottom of the list in terms of results, used best year yet planning process and turned things around into they were thriving and their results exceeded all expectations. Now, they didn't work harder, they just got focused. They got alignment, and alignment helps teams laser their energy. Another example, this is a little bit more personal, but a female group of rowers who had never set foot in a shell before set world records rowing across the Pacific Ocean. Now, they were not professional rowers, but what happened was they had a vision and they had commitments and they made commitments to each other. And then they had a system that enabled them to stick to those commitments. So that shared vision and shared values is what made the difference for this group of women rowers. And a final example here, a passionate team created an award-winning career development program for new hires. And it changed the culture of the organization because people going into that organization realized that growth and development was from day one, and that they had support to grow and develop into their passions and use their intrinsic motivation applied to their work. And that changed the entire culture of the company. Now, this is about leading on purpose. So these teams and these individuals learned how to access their deeper resources. I believe, we know that people have depths of resources that just haven't been accessed, but they're there. Every human being has them. And if we can access them and then apply them in a meaningful way to avoid the noise and the distraction, this enables people to create extraordinary, exponential results and own them. So this is me owning my accountability. I own my results. I own what I create. This is empowered, purposeful, and unshakable focus. Best year yet. So this really matters now with as much complexity and noise as we're facing. And what I'd like to do now is I'd like to take you through a very short experience of the Best Year Yet process. So you'll need to get that PDF. If you don't have it handy, go ahead and grab it and open it up. We're going to start by giving you a few minutes of quiet reflection. Ooh, what a concept. Okay, so do whatever you need to do to go ahead and just get present here in this moment, here, yes, even on the Zoom. All right, so let's give this a shot. The first thing that I'd like you to do is to think about what is it that you would like for your best year yet? Not about what you'd be doing, but who would you be? Who would you be becoming? Who would you be becoming? Not what are your behaviors, but who are you? And who are you becoming? What's different in your world as you look into the possibility of your best year yet? What's shifted for you? What's stronger in your life? What did you say yes to enable yourself to have your best year yet? And friends, what did you say no to? Now, I'm going to ask the question. This is a visioning exercise, and you'll see this question in your resource guide. And I'm going to give you a few quiet minutes to answer that question. If you were to have your best year yet this year, and if you're looking forward into October 2026, what does it look like? Imagine it a year from today. And I'm going to button up here for a few minutes and have you record. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What's happening? Imagine. Let that creative imagination take over. And as it does, I want you to feel into this, because my experience of our best year yet is that there is a pull on us. It's not a push, like trying to push something, through, trying to drive results, trying to push a rock uphill. There's something that is pulling us into our future. So take another minute and capture that for yourself. All right, friends, go ahead and wrap that up. All right, so we've created a container, a space for visioning our best year yet. That's critically important. We have to know what we're looking forward to. We have to know that. Now I'm going to switch it up on you a little bit here, because what we're going to do next is we're going to look into the past, and we're going to look over the course of our last year, and we're going to ask the question, what did I accomplish? What do I want to celebrate about my last 12 months? Now, this is not something that we normally do. Normally, we finish something and then it's like, let's move on to the next thing. Let's move on to the next thing. But this is where momentum is created, is when we stop to celebrate our accomplishments, we regain the energy. We have no longer hooks in our energy that is based in the past. So very simple question. What did I accomplish? I'm going to give you some examples here on the screen, and then I'm going to button up. But there are some examples that you might want to consider, all areas of your life, personal and professional, and different areas to review. And I'd like you to capture, just let it flow. Just let it flow. You don't have to share this with anyone. What did I accomplish? Go ahead and start that now. And just when you think you're about running out, I'd like you to do a couple more. Keep going, like that thing that nobody knows about, but you feel really good about how you handled it. All right, and let's take a minute and wrap that up. And we're doing great on time, so I'm going to invite you to either pop into the chat or, if you'd like, come off mute. Now, here's my invitation. We don't often share our accomplishments with one another. We don't often, because it feels like, yeah, self-congratulatory, but there's power in sharing what you're proud of and what you feel good about. It can be inspiring for others, and it can give others permission to share what they feel good about and what they feel like they want to celebrate and what they want to accomplish. So my invitation is to share in whatever way feels comfortable for you, what you want to celebrate about your accomplishments last year. And again, you can come off mute or pop it into the chat. Who'd like to start?
If you'd like to unmute, just raise your hand and then I will unmute you, just as a little reminder. So Jason, I saw that you wanted to share, so I will unmute you. There you go.
Sweet. Well, I guess I'll break the ice here.
Thank
So,
you, Jason.
well, I think for me, and of course, one of my committee members is on here, which is really excited. But something I'm really proud of is how large the MT Sherman College Relations Committee has become, and I serve as the committee chair. So it's been really cool to facilitate that growth to better serve the students in the Middle Tennessee area.
Jason, thank you so much. Great. Thank you, Luke. All right, I see some loading up in the chat over there. Thank you, Luke.
Anna has a question, just to clarify that these accomplishments, are they from last year, 2024, or are we talking about this year?
No, just in the last 12 months. So it dips into 2024, but just to give us a range, we want to look at the last 12 months. Thank you for the
Yep.
question.
And looks like Anna.
Mhm.
Here we go.
Go ahead, Anna.
Oh, I would say in the last 12 months, one of the areas that I'm the most proud of is a refocus on on family and trying to instill some better work-life balance. Feels like my children are growing in the blink of an eye. It's like 5 years have passed, and with one in high school and one about to go into middle school, I'm trying to focus, at least in these last 6 months, I've made a concerted effort to be at some of the practices, not just weekend games, and try to be more present.
Thank you, Anna. A great example. All right, and some more in the chat room. So visit your colleagues in the chat room. And I see a lot of heads nodding as well. So you can see that, we have a very common experience here with our celebrations and accomplishments. So thank you so much for those who are sharing. And just feel the energy of that, right? It's like, woo, that's kind of, I like it. Feels good. All right, friends, we're going to move forward here. So similar kind of question, but we're going to look now at, guess what? Disappointment. So this is not about shame or guilt or judgment or beating ourselves up, for goodness sakes. We know we're working hard. And there are some things that can land as disappointments for us. So this is more about data. Is more about collecting the data than it is about, shame or guilt or anything like that. So same question, look over the past 12 months, dipping back into 2024. And what were some of your biggest disappointments? And I'm going to give you some examples and also some areas to review. And I'm going to button up and ask you to record for yourself. And this again is for you. You can share or not. But what did you let fade away? What just felt disappointing? Where did you say yes when you meant no? So take a few minutes and capture a few of the disappointments. And take 1 minute just to wrap that up, and I'll invite your attention back here into the Zoom room. All right, thank you so much. Now, there's power in sharing your disappointments too. The same thing happens. When we can acknowledge something that disappoints us, we regain our attention and energy from that disappointment. It's no longer an energy leak or an energy drain. So even in saying, you know, that kind of disappointed me, or I wasn't happy with the results, there's no judgment about that. Now, we won't do that today, but I do invite you to consider the power of just saying, you know, candidly and honestly and truthfully to yourself or to teammates, you know, what you might share as a disappointment, and then let it go, right? Let it go. Very, very powerful exercise. But for the purpose of today, we're going to go ahead and move on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our accomplishments and our disappointments both, and we're going to ask a different question. We're going to ask, how do we connect the dots here? And by connecting the dots, what I mean is, what can you discern? So I'm going to ask you in a moment to look at those accomplishments and disappointments. And I'm going to ask you to discern and define, what did you learn? What did you learn? What did you learn about your strengths by looking at your accomplishments? Or, by the way, what did you learn about your strengths by looking at your disappointments? They're there too. What did you learn about your challenges by looking at your disappointments? Or what did you learn about your challenges by looking at your strengths? They're there as well. So I'm going to button up, and I'd like you just to define, you know, 3 or 4 useful lessons. And here are some examples. So if you had an accomplishment or a disappointment, what was the lesson? I received the promotion I was looking for. Well, I learned that volunteering gets me noticed. I didn't take my vacation last year. What did I learn? I need more balance in my life. Or I spent more time with my kids. Anna, right? I enjoy being part of my children's lives, especially when they're children. Or I didn't reach an important goal. I have to keep my work priorities straight. So a moment for yourselves. I'm buttoning up. What were the lessons that you learned from those accomplishments and disappointment? Beautiful. I see some comments in the chat. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah. So these are the lessons that some of your colleagues are learning. Let's go ahead and load it up. Let's load up the chat a little bit. And if anybody wants to share off mute, raise your hand again, and we'll calling you. This is power here. So let's hear some additional lessons from y'all. Yep. Yes, yes, yes. Good stuff in there. Yes. Okay. So I'm just noticing in the chat, we've got some great lessons. So some of it is about letting go, and some of it is just about acknowledging what works for us, right? And it's so unique. It's so precious. All right, I'm going to give you one final minute if you would like to share. We're going to move on to our last little bit here. Beautiful. So I'm just looking at the chat, and I invite you, if you haven't, take a moment and enjoy what your colleagues and peers have shared in the chat as well. All right, beautiful, my friends. So, wow, well done. Last little bit here. Now, learning a lesson is simply about noticing. And we've looked at our accomplishments, we've looked at our disappointments, and all we're doing is noticing something about ourselves, just a lesson. But we're going to take it one final step. And what we'd like to invite you to do in this last step is to consciously create a guideline for yourself. Now, it could be from one of the lessons that you learned, but a guideline are just like guardrails, right? And those guidelines are how to turn that insight about what you've noticed about yourself into a guideline that is a short, powerful sentence that can give you and guidance around your choices. And we're not talking about goals here. We're just talking about inner alignment and turning something that you noticed into a conscious, deliberate guideline that you can use to guide your decisions and guide your choices going forward. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to really craft this. And from what I saw in the chat, many of you are well on your way to creating guidelines. So you might look again at either what you put in the chat or what your colleagues have put in the chat, because there's some rich, fertile material in. And friends, you can glance up at the Zoom screen. I put a few examples in there as well. Right, and I'm going to give you just another minute to polish that up and finalize at least one guideline. Some of you may have more than one, which is fine. We recommend up to 3 powerfully charged, emotionally resonant guidelines. Beautiful work, friends. And I'm going to invite you back into the Zoom room. And for one last time, feel free to share a guideline either in the chat, or if you'd like to come off mute, we'd love to hear your voices. Just raise your hand. Kirsten will call on you if you're willing to share your voice. Otherwise, I'm happy to see you in the chat room.
Looks like Anna wants to share. So Anna, you should be able to unmute now.
Energy flows where attention goes. So where is my attention?
Ooh, I like
Yes,
that.
Yeah.
Looks like we have some other good ones in the chat. Be flexible, adaptable, and patient. Spending more time to find great work, school life balance. Start to incorporate more structured practices to complete small or big goals. Be willing to ask for help. Take healthy risks. That's a really good one. It's hard to ask for help.
Ooh, right.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Jason, do you want to talk? Sorry, Jason, I keep missing you. Okay, let me find you and unmute you so then that way you can share. There you go. Go ahead, Jason.
Sweet. Yeah, sorry about that. I cannot seem to find the raise hand button. But the one I came up with is personal time is not unlimited. So there's a lot of opportunities and things to do out there, but at the end of the day, your personal time is limited. So
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. We're fond of saying, you don't manage time. Because if you manage time really well, you don't get 26 hours. I mean, time is the great leveler, right? You get 24 hours no matter how you manage your time. So thank you, Jason.
Yeah. Time is not a renewable resource.
No, it's not. My friend.
Oh, go ahead. I was just
Go
going to
ahead.
read in the chat. We have another lesson to be more prepared for job opportunities and to practice more on video interviews. Definitely some good practical skills.
Yeah. Now, the very, very final thing, and I won't ask you to share this, but these guidelines, right? You can put them somewhere because they will guide your decisions. They will guide your action over the next however many months or even a year that you want to use these guidelines, right? So keep them in a place on your calendar or someplace where you can use them to help you to guide those decisions and guide those actions. But here's the final kind of litmus test, if you will. If you really practiced your guideline or guidelines, bounce it up against the vision that you created at the beginning of this presentation. How would it help you to fulfill on that vision, right? You can see that it would make a difference. You can see that it would help you to fulfill the vision that you have for yourself for your best year yet, can you not? So, friends, let's just take a breath here right now, because in less than an hour, you have reflected. You have realigned what's most important to you, and you've reconnected with, the essence of what's important to you. And that's the beginning of the best year yet process. That's just the beginning of this program. The full experience continues from here. And just notice how clear and energized. You may feel after less than an hour of taking this quick little romp through our best year yet process. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Eli, who's going to share a little bit more about that process and where you can find more information on it. But before I pass it to Eli, I just want to thank you for your generosity of listening, your generosity of sharing, and your generosity of participating in a process that is precious to me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Annie, for walking us through that. And we're really glad that you could join us today and experience that. I've gone through that, and I'll tell you one of my main guidelines for this year, which has really helped me. And for me, it's connect with people every day. And so for me, that's on a lot of different places. It's in my head, it's in my computer, it's on my phone. But it's one of those guidelines for me that it serves a lot of purposes to drive my goals and vision for this year that's happening right now. And it's one of those things that it's almost like kind of a mantra. You know, you're reminded every day, like, what am I about? What am I wanting to do? What am I wanting to accomplish? I know if I do this guideline, it's going to get me one step closer. And so that's been one of the most powerful things for me in this process, going through it. And like Andy was saying, it is just the beginning of this. This has been an experience for people for over 30 years. It's called Best Year Yet. You can see the book on here. Jenny Ditzler is the creator of that. But if you don't have a process like this in your organization at all, I want to just toss out a few ideas to kind of spark your imagination, because today you were able to go through it as an individual for your self-reflecting. And what we found is it's incredibly powerful as on the individual level, and it can be multiplied in an organization. And so a couple of examples at Dell, on the more individual level, they have a couple of programs across their company, one in the supply chain function, where for early career professionals, it's called their graduate program, but it's a very structured program. But they incorporated this process called Best Year Yet into that to help those graduates come in and really focus and help them drive their accomplishments and their vision at kind of early career stage. And they've been doing that for years. And so that's kind of on that individual level. On a team level, another great idea and example is we know that employees today, team members today, want really two things. You've seen this in a lot of reports. They want development opportunities. They want companies to pour into them and help them develop, and they want to feel connected to a purpose or mission greater than themselves. And so when teams go through an experience like this, they get both of those things. And to be able to not only kind of invest in your team members at that individual level, but to help them align what their goals are for the year to the organization's goals and mission and purpose. It's exactly what everyone is looking for. And so an experience like this can really help accomplish that. One last example from I believe a utility company who was a manufacturing company who had a group of people, a cohort that was really struggling with limiting beliefs. You know, we can call that a lot of different things: imposter syndrome, limiting beliefs, and we all have them. And it's actually part of this process to think about what is holding us back, and why is that? And this particular group was struggling with executive presence, and they were talking about how, you know, what's holding us back. And so they actually use this particular program to kind of help identify that and get over that hump. And so there's a lot of ways you can use this program, Best Year Yet, in things like it to accomplish what employees are looking for, which is that development in themselves, but also alignment to a purpose and mission greater than themselves. So like I said, this has been an experience that's been going on a long time, that we've been conducting in mostly live workshops and also virtual. We are excited to launch a new digital self-paced version. So this is a very first time that people as individuals, but also teams and organizations can access really the full workshop experience. So you just experience part of it. You can go through the full thing online in a self-paced model. I'll show you just a few things here and then we'll wrap up. If you would like to continue the process after today, you can actually do that now. It's all mobile. It can appear on any screen, whether you're on a laptop or mobile device or tablet. You have all the components for that trackability, going through the full plan, but also being able to execute that on a monthly basis. And so not only do you have this setup experience, but you have all the things that really help us continue to execute a plan throughout a year that many times we miss because we miss that accountability. And so if you are interested in learning more, we'd be happy to talk. You can do a couple of things that we wanted to share with you. If you'd like to kind of explore what it'd be like to continue what we started today, you can go to bestyearyet.com, take a look there. If you'd like to stay connected with us, we would love that. You can go to Interaworks. We have a newsletter called Interaworking. Be happy for you to receive that. And then if you'd like to connect and chat further one-on-one, feel free to send me an email and connect that way. You'll also get all these links in a follow-up email. And as we close today, this is one great quote that we'd like to close with, and that is, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And so we'll leave you with that. And we really appreciate the time, and I'm very glad to meet all of you and join with you today, and hope you have a great rest of the week. I'll pass it over to Kirsten, close us out.
Thank you, Eli, and thank you, Annie, for your time today. And thank you, everyone who joined. I hope you enjoyed today's session. It's a little different than what we typically do, but I hope you were able to learn something a little bit about yourselves and, hopefully create your best year yet going into 2026. So just as a couple reminders, we will be sending the webinar recording. We will be sending the Sherman HRCI credits via email. So be on the lookout for that. And with that, we'll close out for the day. I hope you all have a good rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you at future MT Sherm events as well as webinars. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.